of frustration, full of despair. From years of hurt, disappointment, and relegation, two British football fans have had enough. Canary bird Elliot Holman and wanderer Henry Hewitt are in search of glory, pride, passion, in search of silverware. And they found Major League Soccer.
And then they found Euro 2020 and discovered it's coming home. Welcome along to Season 4, Episode 6 of the MLS UK show. I'm Elliot Holman.
And I'm Henry Hewitt.
Oh, we've got a lot of catching up to do. Where do we even start?
Oh, well, we've had a month off, and every year we have a month off, and at the start of every year we say to each other, right,
let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. Normally we're on holiday, which means we've got a month off. This time we've had weddings, we've had surprise birthday parties, we've had Euro 2020, we've had all sorts. So, yeah, we have had our month off. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for still speaking to us on social media, despite the fact we do this every single season. But no, we're back. And yeah, we've got loads to catch up on.
First things first, get your bling out.
Yeah, my wedding ring. It's still there, luckily. You know, when we get the wedding day, Poppy said to me, she went, you know what, I'm never going to take this ring off because she wants it to be like me, you know, very romantic. Me put it on, never takes it off. Next day she went, have you kept yours? And I went, no, I took mine off to have a shower. I lasted less than 24 hours.
I'd be exactly the same. I've showed you, I got as far as buying my wedding ring before our wedding got cancelled. And I really liked it. I was like really pleased with it because my whole life I thought I'll never have one. I'll never want to wear one. I found one I really liked. And so I was actually really gutted not to forget the whole wife thing and the honeymoon, not bothered, not wearing the ring. I was gutted. Oh. So over the years, we've done some pretty cool stuff. I'm thinking like Brit Awards. We've gone to the Brit Awards and it feels all so exclusive. And we've gone into hotel rooms with Bruno Mars and Pink. And
interviewing them. Can I just point that out?
Well,
we were interviewing them.
Started with an interview. And then I thought to myself on your wedding day, I thought, no, this is probably the most exclusive club I've been a part of. Henry got married and he was only allowed 30 people there. Somehow I made the cut. And I mean, Brian, he didn't, he sacked it off. But yeah, you'll play this down because you're not that kind of guy. Beautiful wedding, beautiful ceremony. Groom was all right. Beautiful bride. And your wedding speech was so good. For a man who talks so much rubbish on a podcast, your wedding speech was exquisite. And you finished it in classic Henry style on the morning of the wedding.
Yeah, I finished right because my dad did a speech and he prided himself on not having to look at his notes because he practiced it for a week or so beforehand. And me, on the other hand, missed the last minute. Yeah, morning of the wedding, I finished mine. But no, thank you. That's really nice of you. And this podcast got a mention.
It did. It got a mention in the speech. Yeah,
I said, I basically introduced all my mates and how I've met them. And I said, Elliot. And I said we'd worked on the radio and an award-winning podcast.
Yeah, silver award, but you know it's an award. That's more than we won together on the radio. So that
is true. Now the day after we went on our honeymoon to Brighton, which have you ever been Brighton?
I haven't. It's on our. Funnily enough, when you said to me that you're going to Brighton, we were looking a couple of weeks ago to book and go because it's one of the only places we haven't been and really want to go. But trying to find an Airbnb as everything opens up again in the UK is a nightmare. Yeah,
I've got to say, if you live in the UK, you've never been Brighton, I would strongly recommend it. If you're in America or Canada, you come over to the UK, go to Brighton, it's lovely. So we found, it was the Sunday that we were there when England played Croatia, which we'll talk about in a moment because you went. We were walking around Brighton trying to find just something to do or get my steps in before the big game and all the drinking that we're unable to really do. And so we're walking down the street and Brighton's a very liberal place. You know, it's a very, there's a lot of like second-hand shops and everything's ethically made. You know, it's really nice. And walking down the street and I saw something in the corner of my eye. I was like, I recognise that. So I went into this shop and on the rail and I looked through and there was some more things. So I bought some.
I'm dreading what you're about to do.
And I've brought them in. So this is from This is from To Be Worn Again in Brighton, so check them out.
Please tell me there's not a Get In t-shirt in there.
It's not, no, they've not got second-hand shit.
They've only been out 5 months.
So there's a few bits here, and I've actually got you something as well, so let's see what comes out. Right, so this is what I saw first of all.
Right.
And it's a T-shirt.
That looks very Colorado to me.
And it is. It's a Champions.
What?
Colorado Rapids MLS Cup Champions T-shirt, right?
I see you freshly ironed it.
Yeah, sorry, Colorado Rapids fans. So 2010. So then I saw that, and then I looked through. I was like, oh, there's something else here. And then I saw this.
Philly?
A Philadelphia Union top.
How random.
Yeah. So there's clearly a MLS fan in Brighton that, I don't know, doesn't like MLS anymore.
Gone off it.
Now, we've got this as well. So this is for Poppy, and if you can see on Elliot's desk there, we are featuring the crew quite a lot today.
I was going to say, is it Buzzy Bees?
And it's a hoodie with the old Columbus Crew badge on.
Wow.
So I paid £5 for this.
So this is just in a random shop in Brighton?
Yeah. Just the Columbus, Philadelphia, Colorado, and the last one, which I've got you, which I'll be honest, I don't know if this fits because it's just one size.
Oh, it's purple. It's a Get In t-shirt.
No, it's
that's the... Who's getting rid of that? They're so good.
Orlando United, the sort of pride shirts they
That's
released.
from the Pulse shooting.
Yeah, Pulse shooting. So
Wow.
there you go. So
Who's
I don't know
getting rid of that? Is it you? Are you watching this going, that's my t-shirt?
So I don't know if it'll fit. First of all, it needs ironing. Second of all, but there you go.
That's going in the studio once it's ironed.
Yeah, it has been.
Don't
in
know
that
if
bag.
it'll fit me. Have you seen the size of it?
Yeah, actually.
I think I'll be all right. I've not filmed that much weight. Yeah, that's from the Pulse shooting, and when they had the balloons in the crowd at the old stadium.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, so I couldn't believe it, and the woman in the shop who I bought these from, she was like, her face just probably looked like,
what are you doing?
Well, we've had these for about 10 years, and so we've hit the jackpot. Some guy from Manchester is coming and bought
It's like
them.
when we went to Classic Football Shirts in Manchester, and the guy was like, "Can I help you with anything?" We're like, "Yeah, we're looking for MLS." Sorry, MLS.
We've got rest of the world over there.
Yeah, just go out of that Columbia shirt and be done with it.
So yeah, I mean, check them out. To Be Worn Again, and if you're in Brighton, go have a look because they might have had some more MLS stuff in.
That's seriously impressive. I love that. I've just seen you mentioned it before, the Croatia game.
Yeah.
Honestly, I forgot that we haven't done a podcast since then. It's been so long. Yeah. So I went to Wembley to watch England v Croatia, the opening game of England's 2020 Euros tournament. And I know it's weird. If you're in America, I don't know how big the Euros are. Is it a big deal? Because I'm not watching the Gold Cup and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
I've seen Taylor Twellman and Stu Holden tweeting about it, so that tells me that
it's on the radar.
Yeah, it's on the radar. Yeah.
So if you're not aware, England have got to the semi-finals now, which is huge. We're playing Denmark for a place in the final against Italy or Spain. Fingers crossed. But for my 30th birthday, I went to Wembley and we did all the fancy stuff. Never done that before. It was absolutely incredible. Got free ball. I've just seen as well, I took a picture on Sky Sports News. Mendieta was just interviewed and he had one of these on his desk in front of the camera, and I thought, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, we'll put it on your desk then.
Yeah.
For this episode.
And I got loads of free stuff. It was great. The main sponsor of the tournament is Heineken, of course. So I had a choice, free bar, right? I had a choice of Heineken or Heineken. So I had lots of Heineken. But the game was great. Saw Sterling score, first goal in the tournament. And I just feel buzzing that I was there, because if we now go on and do something in this tournament, I was there at the first game.
Yeah. You try and link. England have never won anything, not in our lifetime anyway. So I'm sure there'll be loads of people trying to link. Like I was thinking on the way here, I was like, oh, the Euros. Well, I'll always remember that.
You got married on the day it started.
Yeah, and you went to the first game. So, I saw the pictures. It looked like you had a really good time, and great weather as well. We were lucky that weekend, weren't
Just being in a stadium. I know in MLS you guys can go and you can go to games. There's no league football here at the minute, and we haven't been able to go to a game for a year and a half, nearly 2 years. Just being in a stadium was so good.
Yeah.
And like I had someone sat next to me, and I didn't even care. It's like, I don't care. This is just great to be amongst it again, and it just felt like a little bit of normality. So till England won, then it was bizarre again. But yeah, it's there's been a lot going on, including in MLS. So we'll crack on, shall we?
Yes, and as we do every episode, we start with the game with a changing name. Now, you're pretty excited about this one, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm not excited. I'm just proud of myself that I've managed to find a player that fits this category. Because I thought, with England doing well in the Euros and playing Denmark on Wednesday night, I thought I should look at the Danish players who have played in MLS.
And England.
Yeah. Okay, so immediately I thought of David Alstead, Vancouver. Then I thought of Martin Jensen at Red Bulls, and I was like, are they all just keepers? Are they all just goalkeepers? Couldn't find any that played in the UK as well. And I went through, there was a list on Wikipedia of all the Danish players, and I clicked on every one, and the last one I got to has played in the UK as well.
Right, okay. Come on, throw some stats at me. Where have they played?
So, they've played for Brondby.
Yeah.
That was in 1988, just to give you an idea.
Right, okay.
Started their career there. Barcelona.
Oh, right, okay.
They went on loan to Southampton from Barcelona.
Wow. That fall from grace.
Then Manchester City on loan from Barcelona. Then it gets worse. Coventry City on loan from Barcelona. And they also played for Warsaw.
Right.
In 2000 to 2001, they played for Warsaw. And then they moved to the San Jose Earthquakes, where they did really well. Played 91 times and scored 11 goals. Midfielder.
Right, okay. What year did he go to San Jose?
2001 to 2004, and they are currently still involved at the club. They currently work at the club. I didn't know that. They're a member of the coaching staff at the minute.
Right, okay. I'll have a think. I'm not usually any good with the older ones, which...
It's very difficult, but I just had to try and make it fit.
But if you know, let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, just comment, because it leaves a timestamp. Or you can get involved by tweeting us at MLS UK Show. Tell us what you're up to when you realise who it is. Funnily enough, so I mentioned before, we had a surprise party for you for your birthday, which was here, well, the other side of that wall in his garden. And I spoke to your dad, and your dad was saying that, he was like, how do you know when people cheat and go to the end and come back? And we were like, oh, we know. But he was intrigued.
Really confused by that, and then I went, we don't really know.
But we do know, so don't do it.
Behave.
Right, let's crack on then. It's been a busy few weeks in MLS, but first, let's have a word from our sponsor.
The MLS UK Show.
So, as you can see, I am rocking the Adidas Orlando City Parlay jersey for 2021. Any excuse to buy anything with an Orlando badge on. If you're the same as me, if you're addicted to purchasing football shirts, soccer shirts, jerseys, tracksuit tops, bottoms, the lot, soccer90.com is the place to go.
And if you say at the checkout in the discount code MLS UK, you get 25% off too.
It's coming home.
MLS UK Show with Elliot Holman and Henry Hewitt.
Okay, so it's been another busy week of MLS action, and there's only one place to start, actually, isn't there?
I wonder where you're going to start.
Toronto FC. We planned to do a podcast last week. If you follow us on social media at MLS UK Show, you'll know that we got very close to actually doing it. Literally so close that we then couldn't get into the garage because Elliot's garage door was broke. But now we're here. And so if you remember last week, Toronto lost at home to FC Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I'll just read you the notes that I put down, ready for it. The note was, it's bad when. Well, 1 week later, and it's got a whole lot worse.
It's got worse. Well, I don't know where to start, because I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's good that for months I've been saying I don't like this Toronto side with Chris Armas in charge. I don't really understand how he got that job in the first place, when ultimately he didn't do a great job with New York Red Bulls. He had a fit again, Bradley Wright Phillips, and kind of forced him out. And obviously he's gone to Toronto, and he's frozen out Josie Altidore. He's been, made to train by himself. Something doesn't sit well with me with him. I don't know what it is. I can't describe it. Chris, if you're watching this, mate, I apologize from the bottom of my heart, but I don't know. I watch him in interviews. Something's not right.
Well, I mean, he is an MLS legend. I noticed in the Chicago game at the weekend, they have Chris Armas written behind the goal on one of their flags. So I think that gave him a bit of scope in MLS. But yeah, it's just not worked out. I was on the outside, and when Toronto announced it, you just had to look in the comments on the announcement on Twitter, and there were no positive comments coming from anyone, whether it be Red Bulls fans, Toronto fans, so... Yeah, it's not worked out. I mean, you look at Toronto, the bottom of the conference with 5 points. 5 points from 11. This is Toronto FC, not Toronto FC from 10 years ago. This is Toronto FC now. Did we kind of expect this because they're not playing at home this year? Should we have given... If let's say Toronto hadn't lost 7-1 to DC, would Armas still be in a job because of that?
I think the thing is, you can take them out of Toronto and you can say, all right, do you know what? We'll allow you 20-30% leeway here because you're not playing at home. You've not got that advantage. You've not got the home comforts. You're not being in your own home, living life, waking up in your own home for months on end. Understand that 100%. But that Toronto roster should not be bottom of the conference.
No.
It's not good enough. That's the thing. It doesn't matter whether Austin have only just started to play at home. Same with Columbus opening up their new stadium. They've all been playing away from home. Yeah. I know it's not quite the same, but, Vancouver in the same situation, of course. So are Montreal. And I just feel like that roster, there's no excuse. There is no excuse when you look at the strengths they've got and you take one of your best players, Josie Altidore. Look, whatever you think of Josie Altidore when it comes to the US men's national team, whatever, okay, he starts in that Toronto side because he's too good. Yeah. He's too good to freeze out, making him train on his own. Do you think Michael Bradley is, going into training every day thinking, oh, well, this is good. Josie Altidore's not even in the same postcode. Zip code, sorry. I don't know how that was ever going to end well.
No, and the ironic thing is that even though Altidore hasn't been playing, Toronto have actually scored the most goals in the sort of bottom half of the conference, in those who aren't in the playoff positions. But they've conceded 27. That's more than they conceded the whole of last season. Yeah, you're right. It's just not good enough. And that performance on Saturday night was just pathetic. I'm sorry. I know it's easy to say it, and I know it's quite harsh, but it was off. It was just embarrassing, and I was embarrassed for Toronto. I was pleased for DC because it's nice. They're scoring a lot of goals, but it was just poor, really poor. And Chris Armas was sacked the day after.
Shocking, that really.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was surprised by that. But I mean, what now for Toronto? They're still playing, not at home. What would you do? Is this season already a write-off? Do you just bring someone in from the back room to just fill a position until we can get back home next season, or what do you do?
I mean, I'm turning to look at the standings just to see how far off they are. I mean, are playoffs gone?
11 points off the playoffs already.
We've seen bigger comebacks.
We have, but I know MLS is very... In MLS, it's very rare that you get a team that is winning every week. It's very, hit and miss with people's form. But to claw back 11 points, it means that they're, first of all, I mean, there's a whole host of teams on 16 points for a start, but it just means Toronto, they're going to have to win 4 games before anything else. They're going to have to win 4 games to get to 17 points. And then you're relying on other teams dropping points. So if any of those pick up a few wins, they're still like 7 points off. So sorry,
guys, I was trying to be positive. I just asked the question. Henry's taken those hopes and just sort of really stamped on them.
I'm sorry. I think this season's a write-off. Just try not to finish bottom. Try get as far as up the table.
There's a danger with that, though, isn't there? When you're already away from home, that sort of, well, what's the point? If they're not going to make the playoffs, why are they spending so much time away from home, away from their families? There's an era of what a horrible, horrible situation to be in. Yeah. I just want to take something to you, putting my feelings on Dom Dwyer to the side. It's reported that when he arrived at Toronto and was officially signed, he spoke to the players and said, this is the best group of players I've ever worked with, the best roster I've ever been a part of. And there's no reason why we can't make the playoffs. A month, 2 months later, it's looking like one of the worst rosters that he could ever have been a part of. Yeah. I know it's stronger than the Orlando side that he was in, so it's not. There's no bitter lemons, from my end here. That Toronto roster on paper much better than the Orlando of 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. There's no question about that. But I think there's more to it than that. There's clearly an issue somewhere in that squad, and I don't know how they're going to... I don't know whether a new coach just fixes that.
No. Well, this is why I say I think this season's write-off, because what you said there is a very good point. They're not at home. They're not living at home. Ironically, there's only Dom Dwyer who's actually living at home. It must be great for him. But for everyone else, it must be really tough. And it's... I know these guys are soccer players. I know they earn a decent wage, and it's everyone's dream to be a soccer player. But they're still human beings. And I think how they are is representative of where they are in the table. The thing that isn't helping them out is the fact that Montreal are having a better season than what we thought they would do. They're on the cusp of...
We talk about those 16 points, and that's where they are.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think Toronto... Well, we'll see what happens in the next few weeks, see if there's a change, but I don't see it happening this season.
Forgive me for asking a weird question, but how important is Dom Dwyer now to that squad? Not on the pitch, but the fact that he's based there, he's got a home presumably big enough to house the whole squad. Does he become more important to them because he can say, "Come to mine for some, for some food, for some beers. We'll watch England thrash Denmark in the Euros." Does he become a real asset to them? In fact, off the pitch,
I think he does. Yeah, and you've got to remember for Dom Dwyer, Dom Dwyer probably doesn't want to live in Toronto. I know his wife plays for... Does she play for Orlando Pride? So, so he doesn't want to move. So he's playing the rest of his season for a contract somewhere, whether it be... I don't think it'd be back at Orlando, but maybe Miami or one of the other sides that...
If he went to Miami, oh my goodness.
One of the other sides that are sort of down in that area, he's playing for his future. So he's going to have to show not only what he does on the pitch, but he's going to have to be a captain off the pitch, as well as Bradley, but a captain that can, cheer people up, because it must be horrible at the moment. So good luck, Toronto. DC, we've actually, you put some questions out last week, and we've got one about DC off DC UK, so we will answer that very, very soon. But just based on this game, I mean, let's be positive. Okay, Toronto weren't great, but I was watching the likes of Areola, and I think that was Areola just run the show for me, and it was good to see that DC kind of are starting to click a bit. So that was good. But like I said, we'll talk more about that in a moment. Let's move on then to Columbus. You've got the shirt on there. We saw it. Well, it's on the verge of coming home on Saturday evening when England beat Ukraine, and then we actually watched Columbus come home to their new home. 2-2 against New England Revolution. They went 2-0 down though. Are you like me? Do you find it sad when there's a team that has their first game in the new stadium and the opposition score the first goal? Because it happened at Cincy as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't. I think I took for granted Orlando opening up at Exploria, or Orlando City Stadium as it was, and Kyle Larin getting that first goal. I think I maybe took it for granted because it could have easily gone the other way, especially the way Orlando played that year. But yeah, unlucky really that they were playing New England, who are... there's no argument. They are the informed team, in MLS alongside the likes of Seattle and SKC, certainly in the East. I think 3 points ahead of Orlando still now. So, unlucky that it was against them, really. But there's nothing better than coming back from 2 goals down. I think there's something special about that. But it's a shame, like you say, their first goal that they scored was kind of a pick the ball up and run back to the center circle. But look, they've had a good start to the season, I think you could say, because now that they've got that stadium that they can play in week out, obviously they've got catching up to do as well. There's every chance that with where they're sat, level on points, basically in the playoff spots, there's every chance that they now really start to gather momentum. Now they've got that, that home stadium, the home crowd behind them. So I fully expect them to really be up there now that they're sort of settled into their new home.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they win the next game, Columbus could be joint third, and suddenly the season's
All
been
right.
great. So yeah, well done to Columbus. Look, was it on TV? I saw the highlights. Was the match actually on TV?
I don't know, to be honest.
Because it looked magnificent. So hopefully that can continue that bump. We've seen it at Austin, and I think it'll happen when Cincinnati start to win some games at their stadium. But it is great seeing all these new stadiums in MLS. And well done, New England Revolution. Good, disappointed, but a good point in the end, and they remain top.
Annoying, isn't it? It's annoying. We thought we were just catching them, and then no, they're 3 points ahead again.
And that is because Orlando, you got beat at the weekend, 2-1 to Red Bulls New York. They are your bogey team this year.
They are. We've lost to them when we wore this jersey. Actually, the parlay, blue parlay top. Do you know what? I can't be mad though. Like, since we recorded the last podcast, we've won 3 or 4 games. Looked really, really so confident, so casual, no dramas whatsoever. Slip up against the Red Bulls, of course. Lose a couple more games and I'll be worried. But I don't mind. I can't. All the years that I've stood next to you doing this podcast, can I grumble at they've won however many this season? I can't grumble at a little slip up here and there. And if we'd have recorded the podcast last week, I'd have been absolutely buzzing. Yeah. 3 wins in a week, 9 points, smashing it. So yeah. I can't complain.
Well, I did say in my notes last week, as I begrudgingly said, you deserve this after the years of what you've had to put up with, especially just with us doing this podcast. Orlando playing well, 5-0 last week against San Jose, and a win against Miami as well, yeah, which always helps. Just to touch on Red Bulls then. Now, you watching Red Bulls twice this season and beat Orlando twice. How are Red Bulls? Are they impressive? Did they get lucky? How do you see them where they are at the moment?
It's hard, isn't it? Because I look at them, and we mentioned the 16 points. So you've got DC, New York, Montreal, Columbus. Now, for me, that's exactly, from what I've seen of them, that's exactly where I expect them to be. Right. I think it's a very fair assessment. The first game against Orlando, they beat us, just a great goal. When you just hold your hands up and go, do you know what? Fair play. So yeah, I think more to come. I think is maybe, I mentioned Columbus, being able to play at home and build momentum. I think New York certainly settling into that new era, and I think there's every chance that they start to progress as well.
Yeah, and Caden Clark, as it was announced, we were going to talk about this on the podcast if we would have done it last week, but it's a bit of old news now. But he's gone breaking news, guys. He's been signed by Leipzig, but they've loaned him back for the rest of the season to Red Bulls New York. It's interesting because in England, I know we support 2 sort of middle of the ground sort of teams who you expect if you have a good player, you are going to sell them to one of the big 6 as they call them. But there's a lot more celebration for that in MLS. When a player gets signed by a team in Europe, it's a big achievement. Whereas there's in the differences in England, there's a bit of...
You take Buendia, for example.
Yeah, he's gone to Aston Villa, hasn't he? And it's a bit like, oh, that's a shame. And a few fans would be against him. Whereas in MLS, it's a celebration of, this is what we've done, this is our player kind of thing. DK going to Barnsley was the same with Orlando. Yeah. So... good luck to Caden Clark. We'll get on the bandwagon and hopefully he may jump from Leipzig to England and we can watch him.
Yeah, I just hope that one day, and we've seen so much progression since we started this podcast. I mean, it's not all down to us, but probably 90%. So much progression with the league. And you mentioned the stadiums earlier, the talent that's coming through, MLS Next.
Yeah.
Champions. Thank you very much. So I think there's so much has happened in the last sort of 5-6 years. And I hope that in another 5 years, we're in a position where we go, no, you're not taking our players. They're not going to Germany or playing in Europe. That's not, we're not having it. We're going to give them a new contract here under whatever rules they need to bring in. Let's be honest. There needs to be a change in MLS now. Financially, in the way that the teams are regulated, so that we can hold on to these players. And imagine if we could watch Caden Clark every week and Alphonso Davis, etc., etc. There's a list as long as my arm. I really think that has to be a priority for the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, well, Phil, a mate of mine, he lives in Florida, and he messaged me last week. He said, I've been to watch LA Galaxy about 10 years ago when he lived in California, but he said, I'm going to take my kids to the Orlando Red Bulls game because they live in Florida and never been, and he kind of wants to get them into soccer. And he came back, this was his opinion on it afterwards. He says he really loved the atmosphere, which I said, yeah, Orlando, there is a good atmosphere there. He said the football was really good. He'd probably say it was as good as a good championship level, although the referees are League Two.
Yeah, that is so accurate. Do you know what? I think the championship thing is very difficult. At the minute, in the last few years, I went on the Atlanta United podcast about 3 years ago now, and I said Atlanta would give a championship team a good game. I think now that there's a lot of teams in the bottom half of the championship which would struggle.
Oh yeah.
I think that's changed recently, and I presume you agree that there's teams in the bottom half of the championship that wouldn't be able to give New England Revolution a game, and their fans would go into the game like, New England Revolution, we'll walk this, and they'd get a shock, they'd get a surprise, and again, that's another thing that I love, this progression from the league.
Right, moving on then, because I know we've spoke quite a lot already on 3 games, but just running through a few more. Montreal beat Miami 1-0, which, I mean, Miami's luck at the moment is the fact that they finally play Montreal and he gets moved to the Red Bull Arena. That's their luck at the moment. Elsewhere, they got Nashville playing at home again. That's their 8th game at home, but 8 unbeaten.
Nashville are up there.
They're up there. They're
My
in
boys,
4th.
great little club.
They beat Philly 1-0, which, I mean, Philly are 3rd, so that's a really good result.
They're only 3 points off Orlando. There's me going, great little club. They're going to be overtaking us soon.
However, they have got 5 away games to catch up on, so we'll see as we leave the summer how they will do. Houston won, Cincy won. I mean, Cincinnati 7 points from 3 now, so there's an improvement there. It's baby steps, but that's really good to see, and they're up to 11th now.
They don't even need Toronto to make them look good. They're doing all right now anyway.
Yeah. We had RSL 0, LAFC 1. LAFC up to 5th now in the West. So as we've talked about in recent episodes, we're wanting to see if they can rise up the league. A bit of a poor start for their standards.
Do you know what it feels like? Do you know when you take on those challenges either on FIFA or on Football Manager, and it's like LAFC have got a great roster, but they're outside the playoff spots. Can you turn it around in the last few games? That's what it feels like to me.
Shout out as well to Albert Rusnak. If you're a fan of the podcast from the old days, you'll know it's his birthday on Wednesday, and you know what that means. Elsewhere, FC Dallas, they're our new MLS UK show champions, FC Dallas. Because if you remember, the Red Bulls beat Orlando.
Yes.
You had it for 1 game.
Yeah.
Then New England Revolution beat Red Bulls. And then somehow FC Dallas beat New England Revolution.
Haven't won a game since 1996, but all of a sudden.
They beat the New England Revolution. So they then went into this weekend's game at home to Vancouver. They weren't able to get a second win, but they did get a draw, which means they keep the title belt. So they're still the champions.
Yep.
Right, I've got the 2 bits now we're going to talk about. I think there's only 2 games we need to... Austin 4, Portland 1. So let's talk about that first. We've got 3 more games to talk about. We got a message on one of the questions last week, which was, is Austin's stadium cursed?
Oh, yeah, Q2.
First 2 games were 0-0. And I said to you, I had this great answer going, don't worry. I think it was Austin FC UK who asked the question.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't worry. Bolton Wanderers in our new stadium back in 97. The first 2 games we had were against Everton and Man United. They were both 0-0, but we finally got a goal in that 3rd game. And I thought, well, that'd be a nice thing to say. No, Friday night, Austin 4, Portland 1. So we smashed that out of the water. So great scenes, though, for Austin, isn't it? Great scenes to see them finally win that first game, finally score. And, I mean, they'd not scored in 6 of the last 7 before that. So they had been saving the goals, haven't they?
However, they conceded their first goal in the new stadium as well.
Oh, what does that mean now?
It's all over.
Well, I think the 4-1 win manages to keep the spirits up. But no, great win. Portland stuttering a bit. They've not won in 3 now. They lost to Minnesota last week as well. But, I mean, Portland, they're another team. They're on the cusp of the playoffs, and you fully expect that they'll get a few wins and get back in.
It's like LAFC. It seems in your mind when you're trained of watching MLS over the years, it seems inconceivable that Portland would not be in the playoffs, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, a team that probably won't be fine, unfortunately for me, is Atlanta United.
I wondered when we get to this bit. I've been waiting a long time.
Chicago 3, Atlanta 0. I mean, well done, Chicago.
Chicago are a great side, though.
8 points.
There's no shame in losing to Chicago. Oh, no, wait. It's terrible.
Yeah. So it's the thing with Atlanta is we've gone from scoring 2 a game, what we were doing a few weeks ago, to now scoring none in each game. And it's just not... It was always going to be a difficult summer with players away for the Gold Cup, Copa America, the Olympics. But yeah, it's ended up being how we thought it would be. And we've gone from not being able to keep a clean sheet after the 80th minute to not being able to create anything and score from all 90 minutes.
An honest assessment. It makes it more heartbreaking that Orlando didn't win at the weekend because we'd have had double the amount of points as Atlanta.
Oh, God, I didn't know
and it would have been unbearable.
I didn't know that. That's, yeah, it's...
And when would we ever have had that on the cards since we've been doing this podcast?
It's just not working out. It's not happening. I'm not used to this as much as you're not used to be winning every week.
I don't know what to do with myself, and neither do you.
Yeah, I've watched the games, and I watched bits of the game on Saturday night, and yeah, it was just poor. They're not creating anything. It's just really poor. And I mean, credit to Chicago. Hopefully this will be their getting their season up and running. We mentioned sort of new stadiums, and we still feel Soldier Field is a new stadium. It's not. It's old. And they played there last year, but with fans in, it's kind of new. So it was good to see.
Been laying into Toronto. You've only got 8 points more than them.
Don't. Please don't.
No, 7.
Oh, right. Moving on quickly.
7 points more.
Sorry. I did, when I said we've got a few games to talk about, I forgot there were some matches on Sunday evening. SKC won LA Galaxy. Great win this.
Yeah.
Big win. Elsewhere, Seattle continued their unbeaten run. They're now the joint longest all-time MLS unbeaten run from the start of a season. 12 games. Columbus Crew had that in 2004. I mean, the Vancouver draw last week, no one expected that. Didn't know what I was more surprised about, that or New England losing at Dallas. But Seattle, I mean, this is a sign of a good team, isn't it? You're not playing necessarily that well, but you're still getting the points tally still ticking over.
It's exactly what we said about Orlando at the start. I was not happy with the performances at all, but the results were fine. And, it's something to build on. You can afford to go and work on the training pitch all week if you just got 3 points. If it was a bit scrappy, who cares? Everyone's in a great mood. But, the Toronto situation, for example, completely the opposite. Terrible performances, terrible results.
And finally, Asani Dotson won MLS at the weekend. If you didn't see this, congratulations to him. He proposed to his girlfriend after the game. I mean, a 2-2 draw at home to San Jose, maybe not the most romantic.
What a way to remember it, eh?
But she said yes. I mean, she couldn't say no, could she? Let's face it. But congratulations to him. So it finished 2-2. Minnesota's 7 matches unbeaten now.
Yeah, this is the thing. We tipped them at the start, and then they wobbled. However... remember, we were there. We tipped them at the start. We were on board on the Minnesota train. I just think they've got a really strong, stable setup there. With the coach sticking around, the stadium, they're bedded into the new stadium. Everything just seems to grow a little bit each season, and I like that, and I feel like they'll do well.
San Jose, I mean, yes, a good draw, but they've conceded 10 in 3 now.
Nothing to do with us.
No.
Oh, no, wait, it was.
A positive, though, for San Jose is Cade Cowell scored again, 17-year-old, 4 goals this season. I mean, he was in the original 60-man roster for the Gold Cup, the American team. He didn't make the last 23, but, I mean, you look at that, you look at Clark at Red Bulls, Quinn Sullivan at Philadelphia scored a great goal last week.
Yeah.
There's decent players coming through for the US national team.
Yeah, and we talked about it before with Caden Clark moving to Leipzig, coming back on loan. It's a case now of when does the league act? When do we find a way to hold on to these players? Because Europe is going to be sniffing around. And this is the thing. It's only a matter of time before you think, are Leipzig going to come calling for Cade Cowell now as well?
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. It's so refreshing now seeing all these players coming through. It is the youth players. And like you said, hopefully we can keep them in MLS. But if they come over to Europe and we get to benefit from them here, then so be it.
Elliot Holman, Henry Hewitt, MLS UK show.
So still to come on the MLS UK show, we'll be answering some of your questions. We've got another round of the Crisis Right, and we'll be doing our predictions for this weekend's action. But first, it's time for a very special edition of Henry's Guide 2. Now, normally, we'll be doing it to places in North America, specifically places that house MLS teams. But you may have seen last week that Christian Ramirez has left Houston, former LAFC and Minnesota player, to go play for Aberdeen. So, in case he catches this, we're going to get him a bit of knowledge as he prepares to play for Aberdeen. So, Elliot, it's now time for Henry's Guide.
This is going to sound so ridiculous.
To Aberdeen.
Famous, of course, for its country music.
Hey, Elliot.
Hey, Henry.
Did you know that Aberdeen is the third largest city in Scotland with a population of 200,000 people?
This is awkward because I did actually know it, but no.
It's known as the Granite City, and the stones that are made there are the stones that are at the Houses of Parliament in London.
And I did know that. My year 7 teacher at school was from Aberdeen, and he taught me that.
Well, there we go. You should know most of these then. He's famous for his Aberdeen Angus beef and shortbread too, and there are more than 30 places called Aberdeen around the world, including Canada, Australia, Hong Kong, and South Africa.
But not Houston.
Not Houston, no. It's one of the luckiest cities in the UK. They've had over 40 lottery millionaires from there. Wow. And it's also home to 70 golf courses, including the Donald Trump International Golf Course on the Aberdeenshire coast.
I think the less said about that, the better.
Aberdeen are one of just 2 Scottish teams to win a European trophy. The Cup Winners' Cup versus Real Madrid in 1983. And their manager was?
No idea.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Ah, of course.
They are also the last team other than Rangers or Celtic to win the Scottish top division. Do you know when that would be?
No.
1985.
Oh, yeah.
And a fact about Aberdeen and Pittodrie, where they play, it is where the first ever football dugout was.
Really?
Yeah, it was at Aberdeen Stadium.
Wow.
So there we go. That was Henry's Guide to Aberdeen.
There you go, Christian Ramirez. If you follow us and you follow Christian Ramirez, tag him on social media. Let's get him watching this. Christian, welcome to the UK. You're going to be just fine.
Right, we asked for this last week, and because of your garage door gate, as we call it, we weren't able to do a podcast, but we actually got some questions in, didn't we, from people who listened. So thank you very much. If you sent us your question in, if you want to do it for next episode, then just tweet us at MLS UK Show.
Yeah, the first one, this is a great question. This is one of the best questions we've ever been asked. It's by Mike, and he says, what's your favourite MLS hashtag on Twitter? So he sent us the original MLS tweet from the start of the 2021 season, where they've listed all the hashtags and, of course, the hash flags that follow them. And he wants us to pick our favourites. So
go on. What's your favourite?
I like the ones that are not in a badge, if that makes sense. So like the cutout ones. So begrudgingly Inter Miami, they've got the flamingos. Do you know what I mean? It's not a badge.
Yes.
It's just the flamingos on their own. And also Philly, who have got the tribute to their electrifying away jersey. Really like that. And do you know what? That Orlando City one's nice, isn't it? That purple. Oh, yeah.
No, it's a bit boring. It was Orlando City's just Orlando City, is it?
Hashtag Orlando City, yeah.
Wow, it's a bit boring.
No, right. Before you have your say.
Okay, go on.
Hashtag Unite and Conquer.
It's unique.
How snappy. You literally had ATLUTD. Just use that. It's so annoying, especially when you try and do a tweet or maybe like we're covering a game or I'm posting the lineup. It'll be like hashtag LAFC and then hashtag Unite and Conquer. Come on.
No, I like it. My favourites, I like the 96 ones. So you're looking at Rapids and Crew there. I mean, if I like the 96 ones, I've got to like San Jose, which is Quakes 74. Toronto's annoys me a bit because it's TFC Live, and that to me is like a
and they're mainly dead now. Their
hard.
season is.
But it's like when Sounders had Sounders Match Day. Do you know when it's like we kind of want to use it all the time, but I kind of get it. The others.
Minnesota's nice. Sorry, I'm just jumping in.
Yeah, Minnesota's nice. Dupe is a classic for Philadelphia. Yeah, Nashville, everyone, I like that one. There's a few good ones. I'll be honest with you, it's not something that keeps me awake at night. So, no, good. Thanks for Mike for the question. But, I like all of them.
Okay.
I'll sit on the fence.
So David says, Gonzalo Higuain said his impression of MLS was that he was coming to score goals with a cigarette hanging from his lips. Last Friday, obviously sent this last week, his opposite, Nani, embarrassed him. Do you think that this Old Stars Retirement League tag has, finally been banished and that MLS is no longer a retirement league? I'll hand it over to you. You don't need to talk about Nani specifically.
No, I won't do. I won't mention it myself. I think it's getting there. The players we've spoke about on this podcast, the young players are proving that. And you look at like when when Atlanta were actually a good team, and the players that we had, and they weren't exactly old timers, were they? They were in the prime. So yeah, I think that's coming to an end. But I think naturally, you will get that, and I think it takes the education and people actually watching the league to understand that it's not quite that. Although I've got to say, I do like the old timers coming in; it does add to it. So.
John Nason says, and this proves my point about the Atlanta hashtag, he says, who'll score more goals in the next month? Hashtag ENG, England, or hashtag Unite and Conquer, which is, of course, Atlanta. A week later, since he asked the question, I think we've maybe got our answer.
Yeah, England scored 4, Atlanta scored zip. It was, it's England, isn't it, really?
Plus the 2 against Germany, so...
6. Hopefully England can add to that, and we can only pray that Atlanta add to theirs at this moment. So, I think England will probably win, even though Atlanta will have half a month on them to try and claim it back.
Okay, Daniel Graham says, who's been the surprise team of the season in both conferences for yourselves?
I tell you what, do you want to do the East and I'll do the West?
I think the East is easy, and it's maybe not the way that you intended the question. I think surprise package is normally connotations of who's done incredibly well, but but Toronto, I don't want to keep going on about it, but who had Toronto to be bottom of the league?
No, that is true. Right, looking at the West then, I think you're probably looking at... I don't know, because you think the top 3... Okay, I'd probably say LA Galaxy could well be in there, because we were like, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to fall? Are they going to have this resurgence? And they have had the resurgence.
I think it's Colorado for me.
Colorado in 4th, but they did well enough last year to show that isn't an entire surprise. LAFC being 5th maybe, but you can see them rising up. I'd have to say, in terms of a failure, possibly Minnesota and LAFC being 5th and 6th. In terms of, I tell you what, I'm going to give it Houston actually, because we started this year by saying they didn't have a cat in hell's chance, and they're 7th. So I'm going to say Houston for the West. They're my surprise team.
Okay, Sean says, why? Here's one for you. You can answer this. Why aren't Orlando's centre backs getting any love for Team of the Week?
Well, it's an MLS thing, isn't it? So, MLS, we could have a whole podcast dedicated to problems that MLS have.
Because I obviously look at this through purple glasses, but it kind of got a point, because especially in the first games of the season, the defence was pretty good.
No, it was, yeah. And you look at the amount that Orlando have conceded, and but they've not conceded 10 yet. There's only Seattle, really, who have conceded less than them. So... yeah, you would expect that Orlando's defence would be in more, and it's not. So, yeah, it's a thing for MLS. But the best thing to do for Orlando is just to continue to prove them wrong. Who cares if they're not in the Team of the Week, if they're still 2nd and still not conceding?
Very true. There's only a couple more. Somebody says, who's winning MLS Cup this year?
Who did we say at the start?
Seattle, I think I said.
Say Seattle, LAFC, can't remember.
I'll stick with Seattle.
Go back to episode 1 and tell us. I've kind of said New England and I put a bet on them. So I'm going to go with New England or Seattle for me. But SKC are a strong shout as well.
The final one is from DC UK, DC United Kingdom, and he says, what's your early take on Lasada ball, which is, of course, the style of play that Lasada is bringing to DC. He says, the stats show we should be doing much better. Is it a matter of time? Now, this was, of course, sent during the week last week.
Yeah, so before the 7-1. But you said before that this is the one question you've really prepped an answer for. So go on. The floor is yours.
When Norwich appointed Daniel Farker as their coach 4 years ago, we were mid-table championship team, and it was the first time we'd ever had a foreign manager. And he had this philosophy where it was better to keep the ball than to always try and play forward. Yeah. So if your centre midfielder had the ball and the centre back was free, use him. And then, turn over the play, start again, recycle it, go again. And I know that now that's, you look at Guardiola, etc. That's much more common now. And since it's worked, he's taken us up to the Premier League twice using it. It completely works. But it did take time. That first season, you came to watch Norwich Bolton.
Bolton drew 0-0.
But Bolton got a draw at Norwich. Yeah. Just because we were just playing this horrible, boring football. And I feel like it does take time to get going. My point was disproved because they just put 7 past Toronto. So,
I think the thing for me, the difference in DC this year compared to last year is different. It's so different. Is that as a neutral, I really enjoy watching DC this year. Last year was a bit of a struggle at times. But even we got a 7-1. But even the game before that, the New York City one, where they're going for the win in the last minute. And for DC fans, some may think, I'd rather have a draw than lose. But for the neutral, they were going for the win and they've ended up losing the game because great goal from Thiago for New York City, but they're going for it. They're trying to win every game. They're going.
It's exciting to watch.
It's so exciting to watch, and we say this with MLS is that the good thing about this league and the fact that it doesn't have promotion and relegation is the fact that teams can go for the win. You don't have to draw. Drawing more than you lose will get you into the playoffs, but at the end of the day, you might as well go for the winning 2 games and win one of them and draw 2 games. So this does encourage that. So if this is going to be DC this season, then I'm all for it. And
I feel sorry. I want to shout out as well Cheyenne, who is also known as Between Clean Sheets, who's a massive DC United fan, travelled to Columbus to go and watch Columbus' first game at their new stadium and missed her team winning 7-1 against Toronto. So we send our condolences. She was doing it for the love of the game, but it's not worked out for us. So tag her and tell her that we're sorry about that.
Right, you're very excited about this one. It's Christ is Right. It's back. It's the game where Elliot plays the role of... who used to do... I don't know who did the pro. Was it Bob Barker? Someone let me know. Was it Price is Right in America?
Bob Barker, yeah.
Yeah. We had our own version. I can't remember who presented that. Anyway, so Elliot he gets his blazer on. He's in charge of the Jason Christ is Right. It's higher or lower. And what's the category this week?
Well, it was Bruce Forsyth.
Was it in this country?
Is who did it over here.
Right, okay.
Price is Right coming next. Christ is Right even. Get it right.
MLS UK show with Elliot Holman and Henry Hewitt.
Hello and welcome back to the MLS UK show. I am your host for the Jason Christ is Right, Elliot Holman. Playing today is Henry Hewitt. Come on down! Henry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Today's category is MLS Cup Droughts.
Oh.
So longest time since winning silverware.
Okay.
How do you feel about this one?
I'm quite confident.
More confident than recent times?
Yeah.
This is because I think it was Chicago Fire UK tweeted us this probably about a month ago now. And it was a list showing them basically bottom. We'll start with Montreal, who have gone 9 seasons since winning MLS Cup.
Mm-hmm.
However, have Real Salt Lake gone longer or shorter?
Okay, Real Salt Lake, that was, I want to say, around the turn between the noughties and the tainties, or whatever they call that.
Tainties,
yeah. So
Making up his own thing.
That's
Yeah.
only 10 years. Oh, would it be? I'm going to say it's slightly longer.
It is. It's 11.
Yes.
We got there in the end. Okay. San Jose Earthquakes is the number of seasons since silverware higher or lower than RSL?
Oh, lower.
It's higher. 15.
Yeah, it was mid-noughties, right?
Higher or lower than 15 DC United?
Oh, that's higher. That's higher. They won quite a few at the start.
You sound confident about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's been quite the drought.
Well, you're right, but only by 1 year.
Yeah.
16. Okay, higher or lower than 16 Chicago Fire?
Definitely longer.
It's 22. Okay, higher or lower LA Galaxy?
Oh, lower.
Yeah, only 6 seasons, of course. Higher or lower than 6 for LA Galaxy? I'm going to go Houston Dynamo.
Oh, because, yeah, LA Galaxy and Houston had a few battles, didn't they? I think Houston's was slightly... Yeah, I think we're talking... Because I think Stu Holden signed for Bolton around either at the time or just after it. So we're talking about 10 years. So I'm going to say higher.
It is higher, 13.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, New York Red Bulls, higher or lower than 13?
Are we counting the Metro Stars in this?
No.
No, right, just Red Bulls. So I'm
Yeah.
going to go lower because they've not been the Red Bulls for as long.
Yeah, it's 25 seasons.
Well, we are talking about the Metro Stars then.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, still, it's higher.
I judges rule.
Sorry,
I was
my
right,
bad,
yeah.
my bad. Yeah, you did better there. You did much better. You've been awful this season, but that was good.
I told you last time, if you listen to episode 5 of the season, I needed the break. I've had the break and I'm back.
Right, go on, back with you now.
So looking ahead to another busy week in MLS then, and if I've not been great at the crisis right, I guess I need to say that this is the portion of the show where you have been horrific at.
Yeah.
This is our predictions. I mean, even Toronto have managed to get 1 win this year. It's currently 3-0 to me. So we're going to do our predictions. Normally we'll do it for the weekend, but as you know, it's Gold Cup this weekend. So good luck to Canada and the US in the Gold Cup. Obviously, hopefully, it's good luck to England as well in the Euros final. But there are some matches.
Get ahead of yourself there.
There are some matches midweek in MLS. On my birthday, actually.
And Albert Rusnak.
And Albert Rusnats, of course. Atlanta aren't playing, so they can't ruin my birthday. Thank God for that. But the matches that are playing, let's kick off then. This is midnight. It's Thursday morning here in the UK, Wednesday night in the US and Canada. The first match is New England Revolution versus head coachless Toronto. So,
Yeah. I don't think it'll be as high scoring as the other one. I'm gonna go 3-1 New England.
I'm going to go 3-0 New England. I think Toronto will get better, but just not in this game. Next, it's back to Florida for Montreal, but whereas they played Miami at the Red Bulls Arena, they're now playing New York City in Florida at the Explorer Stadium.
Makes
So,
no sense.
no, well done whoever's planned that one. Great job. What's your prediction for this one?
Oh, I have to go. Oh, I don't know. You go first.
2-1 New York City. I think they've had a little bit more of a break than Montreal, and Montreal have had to travel needlessly, but they've had to travel anyway.
I'll go Montreal then, just to be different. I'll go 1-0.
Okay. Chicago, greatest team in the in MLS at the moment.
Must be to beat Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, they're playing Orlando this time.
I've got to be confident about this one. I'll go 2-0 Orlando.
Chicago, big win in the week. Well, I still think they're going to lose. Orlando 1-0. Austin versus LAFC at the Q2. This is a big game.
Round 2 for these two teams. I'm going to go... I fancy an Austin win, 2-0.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to agree. I think LAFC, good win against RSL, but they're still a bit... you don't know where you are with them. So, Austin, I'm going to say 2-1, Austin.
Okay.
Next, it's Colorado versus Minnesota. I think this is a really tough game to call.
Colorado, Minnesota. Going against the standings, I'm going to go Minnesota.
Yeah?
1-0.
2-1 Colorado. No, 3-2 Colorado. I think
Okay.
it'll be a high-scoring game. Next to Lumen Field, Seattle Sounders looking to get back to winning ways. Remember, this is the game where they can break the record, longest unbeaten run from a start of a season. They got Houston at home. Surely this is a record-breaking game, right?
I think this will be a draw until the end, and I think Seattle will nick it at the end.
No, I'm going 4-2. I think this is Seattle's.
Oh, wow. I'm going to go 2-1 Seattle.
Vancouver are at home at the Rio Tinto Stadium. They're home for this year against RSL. That's good planning, isn't it? Maybe Montreal could take a leaf out of Vancouver's book. Vancouver versus RSL. Vancouver, the home team, though. What do you think?
RSL 1-0.
I'm going to go 1-1. Hopefully Rusnak will score on his birthday.
Oh. Is it his birthday? That means it's your birthday. You should have mentioned it more.
Yeah, I should have done. I've not hardly mentioned it in the 4 series that we've done of this podcast. And finally, on Wednesday night / Thursday morning, it's the MLS UK Show Championship game. It's LA Galaxy versus FC Dallas. Will we have new champions?
I think so. I'm going to go 2-0 Galaxy.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think Chicharito scored. He was the first player to get to 10 goals, wasn't he, this season? Yeah. I think he'll get to 11 now. He'll score 1 goal, and LA Galaxy will win. I think it'll be 3-1. A couple more games to come this week then. This is on, Thursday night, Friday morning. It's Red Bulls, back at the Red Bulls Arena versus Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm going Philly win here. 2-1.
Yeah, well, Red Bulls are doing okay. I think they've had a good... If you look at the last 5 or 6 games...
Yeah, but I'm looking for revenge. Don't talk me out of it.
No, I think Red Bulls will win this. I think it'll be 1-0, though. I think it'll be a tight game. Nashville versus Atlanta. Thankfully, they moved this game away from my birthday because I think Nashville at home, they're unbeaten at home.
Yeah.
I think it's another win. I think it's another 3-0.
I was going to go 3-1. I was giving you a chance.
We're not going to score.
This season's great.
And then Saturday, this is at 12:30 in the morning. So it's Friday night.
Yeah.
In the States. It's the first Hell is Real derby at the TQL Stadium. FC Cincy versus Columbus. Can Cincy get the first win?
I'm going to go yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think, really?
Yeah, no, but I'm just trying to be exciting.
Well, they are unbeaten in 3.
1-0.
Columbus will win 2-0. But, since they are unbeaten in 3, so if they've ever got a chance of doing it.
I tried, Cincy fans. I tried. Obviously, our attention will be with the European final, the Euros. England not in the final yet. So this could come back to haunt me, but Sunday, 8 p.m, England versus either Italy or Spain.
Yep. I don't know who. I'd probably rather have Spain, to be honest.
Same.
Yeah. Well, there you go. The next episode...
Let's do a prediction for that. England win. 4-0. It's coming home.
1-0.
Stop being realistic.
We have been here before. If you go back to season 1, I think, there's an episode called Don't Mention the Semi, and that is after England lost in the World Cup semi-final against Croatia. So if you go back, listen to that one, that will be probably the way we'll be feeling on the next episode if England, especially if you lose against Denmark. Before we go, we've got 2 things we need to do. We've got to think of a key word for the ratings.
Easy.
Go on.
It's coming home.
Well, there you go. It's coming on. So if you want to leave us a rating, remember there's one rule and one rule only.
5 stars only. LA Galaxy style.
On your podcast provider, then please do. And if you put the keyword in the subject or anywhere in the message saying it's coming home, if you can get that into it, we will read it out on the next episode. So even if you want to promote your podcast, your supporters group, or if you just want to get your name read out on the MLS UK show, then that's what you need to do. And you'll go in the draw to win a shirt from soccer90.com as well. Yes. Game of the changing name then. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a clue who it is. I hadn't heard of them either. However, they are part of the technical staff for San Jose Earthquakes and have been since 2008. Shows where our knowledge is. I wanted, because England are taking on Denmark, I wanted to find a Danish player who'd played in the UK and in MLS. Turns out I could only find one. Let me know if I'm wrong. Started their career at Brøndby
went to Barcelona in the early 90s, went on loan to Southampton, Man City, Coventry, also played for Walsall before going to San Jose in 2001 until 2004. I was there in 2004. Can't say I knew anything of him.
Oh, I might know with the Manchester City connections. Obviously, that's a local team to me, but nothing on the top of my head so far.
Big reveal?
Yep.
It's Ronnie Eklund.
Ronnie Eklund.
Midfielder, striker. Scored 11 goals for San Jose in 91 appearances. And as far as I can tell, never played for the Danish team, but for the under-17s, 19s and 21s.
Well, there you go. Well done. If you got that right,
I bet there's San Jose fans that got that right. But other than that, probably no one else.
Maybe a Man City fan or a Southampton fan or a Barcelona fan. Well done. If you got it right, there'll be another round of a good game with a changing name next time.
Indeed. Nerves are setting in now for the end of the Euros. By the time we speak to you next, football may or may not have come home. We think Three Lions is going to be number one until at least Christmas. If it does come home, we probably won't do a podcast again. What's the point? I'll retire from football. Why even bother following football once it's come home? Leave it at home. Do you know what I mean?
No, well, if it comes home, if it comes to your house, we'll have it on the next episode. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for listening. Remember to subscribe on your podcast provider and also through YouTube. Click the notification bell as well, and it tells you whenever we drop a new episode.
Imagine the noise level of a get-in if football comes home. I'll leave you with that thought.
See ya.